All right, so are you ready to dive back into the world of Bridget Jones?
Always up for a bit of Bridget, especially since it looks like we're getting a whole new chapter in her life.
Exactly. You sent me all these articles and excerpts about Bridget Jones. Mad about the boy?
Oh yeah, I was excited to dig into these.
Me too. And get this, it's 8 years after Bridget Jones's baby. So much must change for her.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just think about it. Widowhood, being a single parent, and dating in her 50s.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. Like a whole different Bridget.
It's like we're meeting her all over again, but with so much more life experience under her belt.
It makes you wonder how they'll even approach the story this time. I mean, no Mark Darcy. That's a huge change for the franchise.
It is, and it makes you think about how she'll handle it all. I mean, we're so used to seeing Bridget kind of obsess over finding the one.
Right. So to see her dealing with such a major loss, it's bound to be really powerful, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. I think it'll resonate with a lot of people who have gone through similar things, losing a partner, raising kids alone.
And then on top of that, the director, Michael Morris, calls it a comedy of grief. What do you think about that?
Well, I think at first it sounds a little strange, but then when you think about it, humor can be such a great way to cope.
Yeah, it can be a defense mechanism, but also a way to kind of find light in the darkness.
Exactly. So I think this approach could actually be really refreshing and even insightful.
It does make you wonder how they'll find that balance, though. Like one minute you're laughing and the next you're dealing with this heavy stuff.
It is a delicate balance, that's for sure.
I mean, even the director said something that really struck me. He said, you thought your life was charting its course. You'd gone through all the hard parts and they were really funny, and now you've got there. What do you do when that plan suddenly changes?
Oh, wow. That's a really good quote. And you know what? I think that's exactly what makes this so relatable.
It is. Like, who hasn't had their life turned upside down when they thought they had it figured out?
It's that universal feeling of being thrown a curveball. It'll be interesting to see how Bridget handles it.
Okay, so let's talk about these new love interests, because we've got Roxster, the 20-something, and then Mr. Wallaker, who is a teacher. What are your first impressions of these guys?
Well, Roxster definitely gives me those classic Bridget vibes. The charming, maybe a bit inappropriate younger man.
Yeah, that age gap definitely raises some eyebrows. Do you think she'll actually fall for him?
It's hard to say, but it wouldn't be a Bridget Jones movie without a little bit of that, right?
True. It's almost expected at this point.
Mm.
And then you've got Mr. Wallaker, who seems much more, well, sensible?
He does, but is that what Bridget really needs? Or will she crave that excitement and chaos?
Ooh, good question. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But speaking of familiar faces, remember Daniel Cleaver?
Oh, how could we forget? He's back. I'm so curious to see what they do with his character now that he's older.
Right. I mean, Hugh Grant even said he wanted to give Daniel a third dimension now that he's in his 60s.
It makes you wonder if he's softened with age or if he's still that same old charming rogue.
And then there's this little tidbit that I just can't get over. Colin Firth is apparently going to appear as Mark Darcy's ghost.
Wait, what? A ghost? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, apparently so. I have no idea what to make of that. It could be really sweet or just totally cheesy.
It's definitely a risk, but it could also be a way to deal with her grief and Mark's absence.
It's like they're acknowledging his impact on her life, even in death.
And you know what? That actually makes sense, especially since Renée Zellweger herself talked about how much she loved that character and how heartbroken she was that he was gone.
Yeah, she even said she felt heartbroken over a fictional character, which is kind of wild when you think about it.
It is, but it shows how deeply these characters resonate with people.
Absolutely. So with all these changes, do you think Bridget will still be that same Bridget we know and love?
I think so, at her core. I mean, sure, she's older, wiser maybe, but I bet she'll still have that same self-deprecating humor, that tendency to overthink.
I mean, it wouldn't be Bridget without those relatable quirks. And from what I've read, the director definitely wanted to show a different side of her, a more mature Bridget.
It makes sense, right? She's not a carefree singleton anymore. She's a mom, a widow, and navigating a whole new world.
And don't forget about her support system, because those friends and family members are back too.
Oh, yeah. They're a crucial part of her world, and I can't wait to see how they react to all this.
They'll definitely provide the comic relief and probably some questionable advice, as always.
It's like having a front row seat to the Bridget Jones show.
I know. So mark your calendars, because the movie comes out on Valentine's Day 2025.
Of course it does. What a perfect date night movie.
You've got widowhood, new love interests, Daniel Cleaver, and a ghost. I mean, this is shaping up to be quite the roller coaster.
It really is. I just wonder if it'll live up to all the hype and resonate with fans who have been following Bridget for so long.
That's the big question, isn't it? But one thing's for sure, Bridget is back. And I have a feeling she's going to surprise us all.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to see what she has in store for us. And we're back, delving even deeper into the upcoming Bridget Jones movie.
You know, it's kind of amazing when you think about it. This character has been around for over 2 decades.
It really is, and she just keeps resonating with people.
I think it's because she's like a mirror, reflecting the real-life experiences of so many women.
Oh, absolutely. She's not just a character. She's like a friend who gets what you're going through.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. The first film, she was all about finding love and figuring out who she was.
And then in the sequel, it was more about dealing with the ups and downs of relationships and commitment.
And now, in Mad About the Boy, it's like she's entering a whole new phase of life.
Widowhood, being a single parent, starting over in her 50s.
It's like she's facing a whole new set of challenges, but it's also super relatable for so many people.
Right. It's like she's graduated to a different level of womanhood, one that we don't often see in movies.
And it's not just about finding a new partner. It's about rediscovering herself, figuring out what she wants at this point in her life.
Exactly. She's grieving, she's raising kids, she's trying to manage her career.
It's a lot to juggle, and she's doing it all while wearing those big pants.
Whoa, we can't forget about those. But seriously, it's inspiring to see a character like Bridget embrace all of that head on.
I agree. It's like a reminder that life doesn't always go as planned, but you can still find happiness and fulfillment.
Yeah, you can find those moments even amidst the chaos.
Which is why people connect with her so much, right? She's relatable, she's flawed, she makes mistakes.
And she always tries her best, even when she totally messes things up.
She's a reminder that it's okay to not be perfect, to be a work in progress.
Exactly. Perfection is overrated, and Bridget is living proof of that.
And you know what else? We can't forget about her ability to land herself in awkward situations.
Oh, absolutely. I have a feeling we're going to see some classic Bridget Jones mishaps in this film.
Oh, I'm sure of it. It wouldn't be a Bridget Jones movie without them.
It's like we expect it at this point.
And you know what? It's those moments that make her so endearing.
Totally. She's not afraid to laugh at herself, and that makes her so relatable.
Because we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Saying the wrong thing, tripping over our own feet, making fools of ourselves.
It's what makes us human, and it's why we love her so much.
But, on a more serious note, this film is being described as a comedy of grief. How do you think they'll balance that?
That's a good point. It is a delicate balance, Humor can be a great way to deal with grief, but you have to be careful.
You don't want to make light of a serious topic, but you also don't want the film to be too heavy.
Right. You need to find that sweet spot. I think the key is to find humor in those everyday moments of grief,
Like those awkward encounters, the unexpected emotions, realizing that life goes on even when you feel like yours has stopped.
Yes, exactly. And Bridget is the perfect character to explore those themes. She's always been able to find humor in the unexpected.
And I think her journey of grief will resonate with so many people who've been through something similar.
For sure. It's a universal experience.
But it's important to remember that this film is also about finding love again after loss.
Which is another topic that doesn't get a lot of attention in romantic comedies.
You're right. It's not always about the initial spark or the whirlwind romance. Sometimes it's about finding love in the midst of heartbreak.
And I think that's what makes this film so intriguing. It's a different kind of love story, a more mature one.
And with a cast like this, I have no doubt they'll deliver a film that's both heartwarming and entertaining.
Oh, totally. Renée Zellweger as Bridget, Hugh Grant, and Colin Firth back as well.
And then Chiwetel Ejiofor and Leo Woodall
Yeah.
as the potential love interests.
It's like a dream team. And it's going to be so interesting to see how they all interact with each other.
I'm especially curious about Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, Mr. Wallaker. He seems so grounded, so sensible.
Maybe that's exactly what Bridget needs in her life right now.
Or maybe she'll be drawn to the youthful energy of Leo Woodall's character, Roxster.
We'll have to wait and see. But one thing's for sure, Bridget's love life is going to be as complicated and entertaining as ever.
And let's not forget the return of Bridget's parents, her friends, Emma Thompson, as Dr. Rawlings.
Yes, they're all back for this next chapter, and I can't wait to see what they bring to the story.
They're like the ultimate support system, always there for Bridget no matter what.
And they always bring the laughs. I can only imagine their reactions to Bridget's latest romantic escapades.
They're probably going to have a lot to say about both Roxster and Mr. Wallaker.
And maybe even about Mark Darcy's ghost. Speaking of which, let's talk more about that.
Okay, yeah, the ghost. What do you think? Will it be played for laughs or for emotional impact?
That's a good question. I think it could go either way. Imagine Bridget having conversations with her deceased husband.
I know, right? It could be hilarious.
But it could also be a really touching way to explore her grief and the lasting presence of Mark in her life.
It's a way to acknowledge his impact, even though he's gone.
And I think that's a really beautiful idea. It's a reminder that the people we love never truly leave us.
Even in death, their love and influence can continue to shape who we are.
Exactly. And I think that's something that will resonate with a lot of viewers, especially those who've experienced loss themselves.
Thinking about all this makes me even more excited for the movie. I just wonder if it'll live up to the hype and connect with fans who've been following Bridget for so long.
Me too. It's a big question mark, but I have a feeling this film has the potential to breathe new life into the franchise.
How so?
Well, by exploring themes that are relevant to a wider audience, grief, loss, starting over, finding love later in life.
You're right. Those are all things that people of all ages can relate to, whether they're familiar with Bridget or not.
Exactly. And by tackling these topics with honesty and humor, the film could really connect with a whole new generation of fans.
It could be both entertaining and thought-provoking at the same time.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's more than just a romantic comedy. It's a story that reflects the complexities of life, the challenges and triumphs of being a woman in today's world.
And that's what makes it so special, right? It's a story that feels real, that speaks to our own lives, our own struggles, our own hopes.
And that's why Bridget Jones continues to resonate with us, no matter what age we are or what stage of life we're in.
She's a reminder that it's okay to be messy, to make mistakes, to never give up on love.
And that even when life gets tough, there's always a reason to put on those big pants and face the day with a smile.
So out of everything we've discussed, what stands out to you the most? What are you most eager to see when this movie hits theaters? So we're back for our final look into Bridget Jones. Mad About the Boy.
Feels like we've really gone deep on this one.
We have. We've talked about Bridget's journey through grief, those new love interests, Roxster and Mr. Wallaker.
And all those familiar faces coming back.
Oh, yeah. Her parents, her friends, even Emma Thompson.
And of course, we can't forget those infamous big pants.
How could we? They're practically iconic at this point, right?
Absolutely. But seriously, I think this film has the potential to be something really special.
I think so too. It seems like they're taking that classic Bridget Jones formula and giving it more depth, more layers.
Exactly. It's like they're acknowledging that life doesn't always go according to plan.
But happiness can still be found even when things go sideways.
And in the most unexpected places, too.
And they're doing it all while keeping that same humor, that heart we love about Bridget.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder that even when things are tough, you can always find a reason to laugh.
And maybe even find love again along the way.
So what about you? What stands out to you the most from everything we've discussed?
For me, I think it's how they're exploring Bridget's grief. I mean, that's not something you see a lot in rom-coms, is it?
It's not, and it's something so many people go through in real life.
Exactly. So to see Bridget, who we know for her optimism and humor, confront such a deep loss, I think that'll be really powerful.
I think so too, and I'm curious to see how they handle her finding love again after that.
Yeah, because it's not always about the initial spark, is it?
No, sometimes it's about finding love when you least expect it, when your heart is still healing.
And with this cast, I just know they're going to bring all those emotions to life.
Oh, definitely. They're all so talented.
Speaking of the future, what do you think this film means for the Bridget Jones franchise as a whole?
I think it has the potential to really revitalize it by bringing in those broader themes like grief, loss, starting over.
You're right, those are things that resonate with everyone, regardless of age.
Exactly. And by tackling those with honesty and humor, they could attract a whole new generation of Bridget fans.
It seems like they're really making an effort to move her story forward in a way that feels real, relevant.
I agree, and I think it could really pay off. It has the potential to be both entertaining and thought-provoking.
Well said. It's more than just a rom-com, isn't it?
It really is. It's a story about the complexities of life, being a woman in today's world.
And that's why Bridget Jones continues to be so popular, even for all these years.
She's a reminder that it's okay to be messy, to make mistakes, to never give up on finding love.
And that even when things are tough, there's always a reason to face the day with a smile, maybe even put on those big pants.
Exactly. I have a feeling this film is going to stay with people long after they've seen it.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It's going to spark some important conversations about love, loss, everything in between.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let me ask you this. Do you think Bridget will ever truly find her happily ever after?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if it'll look the way we traditionally think of it.
Maybe it's not about finding the perfect partner, but finding peace with herself.
Maybe her happy ending is about embracing all the messy, imperfect parts of her life.
Because that's what makes her story so relatable, so special.
Well said. So if you're ready for another wild ride with Bridget Jones, mark your calendars for Valentine's Day 2025 when Mad About the Boy hits theaters.
Get ready for laughs, tears, and maybe even some big pants.
Until next time, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. As always, subscribe to our channel, like this video, and comment below.
Yeah, leave us your thoughts.
Let us know what you think.
And don't forget to check out the links in the description. You might find some useful stuff there. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.